True Lies wasn't just another action film, it was big, loud, and full of jaw-dropping moments. Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jaime Lee Curtis gave us action, comedy, and drama in one perfect package. The movie became a massive hit, winning over both critics and fans. But even in a film, this polished mistakes and funny moments slipped through. And some of them? They're hiding in plain sight. One blooper in particular has left people arguing for years. And no, it's not Photoshop trickery. It's real. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Join us as we take a closer look at the details of this action film and uncover the truth behind it. A blockbuster like no other. True Lies hit theaters in 1994 and instantly made an impact. It wasn't just an action movie. It was a mix of comedy, suspense, and jaw-dropping stunts. Directed and written by James Cameron, the man behind some of the biggest films in Hollywood, it brought together a dream cast. Arnold Schwarzenegger played Harry Tasker, a U.S. government agent living a double life. Jaime Lee Curtis played his wife Helen, who had no idea about his secret job. The supporting cast was just as impressive. Tom Arnold, Bill Paxton, Tia Carrere, Art Malik, Eliza Dushku, and even Charlton Heston. The movie was actually based on a 1991 French comedy called La Totale, but Cameron gave it his own touch, making it bigger, bolder, and packed with special effects. It was the first major project for his company, Lightstorm Entertainment, to be distributed under a big production deal with 20th Century Fox. It also became the first major film for the visual effects company Digital Domain, which Cameron co-founded. This wasn't a small-budget project either. It was the first movie ever to cost $100 million. The risk paid off. The film grossed $378 million worldwide, making it the third highest-grossing movie of 1994. Critics loved it, fans loved it, and Jaime Lee Curtis even won a Golden Globe and a Saturn Award for her performance. James Cameron also took home the Saturn Award for Best Director, and the movie earned nominations at the Oscars and BAFTAs for Best Visual Effects. It was also nominated for 7 Saturn Awards in total. Years later, in 2023, a television series based on True Lies premiered, but nothing could quite match the magic of the original. The success was huge, but behind all the action and glamour was a story full of unexpected turns. A spy with 2 lives. Harry Tasker's life looked normal on the outside. To his wife Helen and their daughter Dana, he was a mild-mannered computer hardware salesman. But in reality, Harry worked for Omega Sector, a top-secret U.S. counterterrorism agency. His real job was dangerous and thrilling, but it often kept him away from his family. Alongside his teammates Albert Gibson and Faiz Seal, Harry started the story by infiltrating a party in Switzerland hosted by billionaire Jamal Khaled. There, he met Juno Skinner, an art dealer who was secretly working with a terrorist group called Crimson Jihad. Led by Salim Abu Aziz, this group had big plans to cause chaos. Undercover as a buyer, Harry tried to get close to Juno, but things quickly turned dangerous. The terrorists tried to kill him, and although he fought them off, Aziz managed to escape. The mission cost Harry something personal. He missed Helen's birthday celebration. The next day, when Harry went to Helen's office to make up for it, he overheard her talking to someone named Simon. Suspicion took over. Harry thought his wife was having an affair. Using Omega Sector resources, he discovered Simon was actually a used car salesman, pretending to be a spy to impress women. Harry and his team staged an elaborate fake arrest, scaring Simon into never contacting Helen again. But in questioning Helen, Harry learned something surprising. She wasn't cheating, she was simply bored and craving excitement in her life. That's when Harry set up a fake spy mission for her, not knowing real danger was about to find them both. A mission gone wrong. The plan seemed simple. Give Helen a fake mission to make her feel like a spy. She was supposed to seduce a mystery man, who was actually Harry in disguise, and plant a bug in his hotel room. But before the act could play out, Aziz's men stormed in and kidnapped both Harry and Helen. Taken to an island in the Florida Keys, Helen finally learned the truth about her husband's double life. The terrorists' plan was frightening. They had 4 nuclear warheads hidden inside antique statues and were threatening to detonate them unless U.S. forces left the Persian Gulf. To prove they meant business, they would set off 1 bomb on the island. Before the torture began, Harry was injected with a truth serum. Under its influence, he openly admitted to Helen that he was a spy. What could have been a heartfelt moment was cut short as the two fought their way out, but danger still surrounded them. 1 bomb was set to explode in 90 minutes, while the others were being transported into the U.S. by convoy. In a dramatic sequence, Harry and Helen battled the terrorists, destroying many in the process. Juno captured Helen in a limousine, but Harry was quickly rescued by Gibb and other Omega agents. Using Marine Harrier jump jets, they intercepted the convoy and even blew up part of the 7-mile bridge to stop it. In a daring move, Harry pulled Helen from the limo just before it fell into the water, killing Juno. The bomb on the island exploded harmlessly, but the fight wasn't over yet. The final showdown. Just when they thought it was over, Harry learned Aziz had taken Dana hostage in a Miami skyscraper. The terrorist leader had 1 last nuclear warhead and wasn't afraid to use it. Thinking fast, Harry commandeered a Harrier jet and flew straight to the building. Fazil managed to sneak inside by posing as a news cameraman, taking down several terrorists along the way. Dana showed her bravery by stealing the missile control key and running to the roof. Aziz chased her onto a tower crane, but Harry arrived in time. The tension was high as Harry rescued Dana, then faced off against Aziz. In one of the film's most memorable moments, Harry trapped Aziz on the nose of the Harrier jet, which had a missile loaded and ready. "You're fired," Harry said, before launching Aziz straight into a terrorist helicopter, destroying both. With the threat gone, Harry, Helen, and Dana were finally reunited. A year later, things had changed. Harry and Helen were now partners in the spy world, working together on missions. On one assignment at a fancy party, they came across Simon again, this time working as a waiter and still pretending to be a spy. When they revealed who they were, Simon bolted in fear. Harry and Helen ended the mission by dancing the tango, as Gibb stood nearby, pleading for them to take their work seriously. It was the perfect mix of action, comedy, and heart, making True Lies a film that audiences would never forget. But it wasn't just the story on screen that kept people talking. What happened behind the scenes was just as unforgettable. In fact, some moments on set were so intense, they were almost as thrilling as the movie itself. What really happened on set? Arnold Schwarzenegger will never forget the day a scene with a horse almost ended in disaster. While filming, a camera boom accidentally hit the horse on the nose. The animal panicked, spinning and rearing right near the edge of a 90-foot drop. Arnold knew it was a bad situation. The ramp they were on was only 4 feet wide, and there was no railing to stop a fall. Thinking fast, he slid off the horse. A stuntman caught him just in time. If the horse stepped a foot the wrong way, we would have fallen 90 feet to a cement floor, Arnold later told fans on Reddit. He said it's moments like that which make him appreciate stunt people even more. This wasn't the only tense moment on set. Actor Art Malik, who played the villain, said he loved the script because of its pantomime quality and the chance to work with James Cameron. The movie itself was a massive project, costing between $100 to $120 million, making it the first film ever to cross the $100 million production budget mark. It took 7 months to shoot, and the locations? They were as impressive as the stunts. The Rosecliff Mansion was used for the ballroom tango scene early in the film, while the exterior of the Swiss chalet Harry Tasker infiltrates was actually Ochre Court. The final ballroom scene, along with shots of the fictional Hotel Marquis, were filmed at the Crystal Ballroom of the Millennium Biltmore Hotel in Los Angeles. Even the villain's smuggling base was built with special fabric structures just for the movie. It was also during True Lies that Cameron met John Landau, who would later produce Titanic and Avatar. But danger wasn't the only shadow over the set. Another controversy would come years later, involving a serious allegation from one of the film's youngest stars, Eliza Dushku's painful revelation. In 2018, Eliza Dushku, who played Harry Tasker's daughter Dana, made a shocking claim. She said that when she was just 12 years old during filming, she was sexually molested by stunt coordinator Joel Kramer. According to Eliza, not long after she told an adult friend about it, that friend confronted Kramer on set. Later that same day, she was hurt performing a stunt, breaking several ribs. Kramer was responsible for her safety. Her co-stars, including Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jaime Lee Curtis, Tom Arnold, and director James Cameron, all spoke out in support of her bravery for telling her story. Kramer denied the allegations. The revelation added a deeply troubling chapter to the film's history. But the on-set stories were not all dark. Some were moments of pure action movie magic, especially when it came to one of the most dangerous stunts ever attempted in Hollywood: the one-shot bridge stunt. One of True Lie's most famous scenes is when Harry, hanging from a helicopter, grabs Helen from a limo just before it flies off a destroyed bridge in the Florida Keys. This was not computer magic. It was real. For the wide shot, James Cameron himself was behind the camera in a helicopter, filming stuntwoman Donna Keegan in the speeding car. The challenge? The sightlines were terrible. The timing had to be perfect, and there was no room for mistakes. At the last second, everything worked, and they nailed it. Cameron called it a one-and-done moment. After that, Jaime Lee Curtis got in the rig to film her reaction shots, also dangling from a helicopter. Curtis later admitted it was nerve-wracking but unforgettable. Behind the action, another drama was happening, one that had nothing to do with stunts, but with casting. And it nearly changed the movie. James Cameron's casting battle. Tom Arnold, who played Harry's partner Albert Gibson, wasn't the studio's first choice. In fact, they didn't want him at all. At the time, Arnold was dealing with the public fallout from his divorce from comedian Roseanne Barr, and the studio thought he came with too much tabloid baggage. But James Cameron had written the role for him and believed he was perfect for it. Jim said, "No, I don't read the tabloids, but I wrote this, and he is the guy," Arnold recalled. When the studio refused to approve the casting, Cameron didn't back down. Instead, he threatened to take the entire production to Paramount if they didn't agree. Faced with losing the director and the project, the studio gave in. The role became a turning point in Arnold's career. Another scene that fans love, Helen's seduction dance for Harry, also came with its own surprise twist. Jaime Lee Curtis revealed that there was no rehearsal and no choreographer. Cameron simply asked her, "What do you want to dance to?" She picked John Hyatt's song Alone in the Dark, and they rolled the cameras. The result? One of the most memorable scenes in the film. Spontaneous, raw, and unforgettable. And just like that, True Lies cemented its place not only as an action hit, but as a film packed with real-life drama behind the camera, winning the box office battle. The year was 1994, and movie fans were spoiled for choice when it came to big, explosive action films. Two R-rated blockbusters were set to go head-to-head. Both were made by 20th Century Fox. Both had huge budgets for the time, and both were packed with heart-pounding action. The first to hit theaters was Speed on June 10th. It starred Keanu Reeves and Sandra Bullock and quickly became a summer sensation. But just over a month later, on July 15th, True Lies arrived, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger and Jaime Lee Curtis. It was a wild mix of comedy, romance, and edge-of-your-seat stunts. The box office numbers became a race to watch. According to Box Office Mojo, Speed finished with an impressive $121,248,145 in the U.S. But True Lies pulled ahead, earning $146,282,411. The gap wasn't huge, but it was enough to make True Lies the bigger hit of the year. And it's no wonder. James Cameron's film had it all. It gave audiences thrilling action scenes, genuine laughs, and memorable characters. But behind the scenes, the making of True Lies was full of moments that ranged from dangerous to hilarious. One of those moments involved Arnold Schwarzenegger, a frightened horse, and a very real brush with death. Arnold's near-fatal horse scene. One of the most dangerous moments in the making of True Lies happened during a sequence where Harry Tasker rides a horse. It wasn't just any horse scene, it was staged on a ramp at the edge of a building. The idea was that the horse would stop right at the edge for a dramatic shot. To give the horse more space to stop, the crew built a small ramp, but during setup, things went terribly wrong. While measuring the distance from the ramp to the camera, a crew member accidentally dropped the arm of the camera. It hit the horse right on the nose. The startled animal panicked. It began spinning and rearing up on the narrow ramp. The ramp was only 4 feet wide and had no railing. Just beyond it was a deadly 90-foot drop onto a cement floor. Arnold immediately realized he was in danger. "I slid off the horse right away, and a stuntman grabbed me," he later said. "If the horse stepped a foot the wrong way, we would have fallen 90 feet onto a cement floor." The fact that he escaped without injury was nothing short of a miracle, and it also deepened his respect for stunt performers. He said that moments like this are exactly why he'll always love stunt people. While that scene was one of the scariest on set, True Lies also had moments that came from real-life experiences, and one of them ended up delivering one of the funniest lines in the entire movie. The funniest line came from real life. Comedy was just as important to True Lies as the action. One of the most beloved moments comes when Harry tells his partner, Albert Gibson, that he suspects his wife might be cheating on him. Tom Arnold, who played Gib, responds with a bitter but hilarious rant about his own failed marriage. In the middle of it, he blurts out that his ex-wife took everything, even the ice cube trays from the freezer. It's a line that audiences still remember, but what many don't know is that it wasn't originally in the script. At the time, Tom Arnold was in the middle of a very public and messy divorce from Roseanne Barr. And yes, she really did take the ice cube trays when she moved out. On set, Arnold vented to director James Cameron about it, saying, "What kind of sick B-word takes the ice cube trays out of the freezer?" Cameron laughed so hard he knew it had to go in the movie. The scene ended up working perfectly because it felt authentic, because it was authentic. That mix of truth and humor is part of what made True Lies stand out. But if there's one scene that fans never forget, it's the now famous striptease sequence, and that moment also came with its own surprising backstory. The truth about the striptease scene. The striptease scene is one of the most talked about moments in True Lies. It begins with Helen, played by Jaime Lee Curtis, believing she's on a spy mission to seduce a mysterious stranger, who is actually her husband Harry. She starts dancing to the John Hyatt song, "Alone in the Dark." The scene is full of tension, humor, and a sudden twist. Halfway through, she loses her grip on a bedpost and tumbles to the floor. For years, fans thought that fall was an accident caught on camera, but Curtis later revealed the truth. It was planned. She and director James Cameron had rehearsed the scene and decided the fall would add a funny, human moment. The twist? Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't know about it. That's why, when the fall happens, he sits up in shock before quickly relaxing and staying in character. His reaction was completely real, which made the scene even more memorable. This wasn't the only moment of spontaneity. In the same scene, Arnold drops the tape recorder he's holding. That drop wasn't in the script either. It just happened, and Cameron liked it so much, he kept it in. When they tried to film it again, it didn't feel as natural, so they stuck with the original. And here's another surprise: the lingerie Curtis wears in the scene wasn't provided by the costume department. It was her own. It became one of the most iconic costume moments in 90s cinema. But for Arnold, the scene was a little more awkward than audiences might think. When asked if his wife minded him watching Curtis strip, he said she did ask him about it. His answer? "Honey, I hated every hour of it." That mix of danger, humor, and surprise is exactly why the stories behind True Lies are almost as entertaining as the movie itself. A small wardrobe, change in the chaos. In one of the most intense parts of True Lies, Helen is in the back of a limo during the bridge demolition scene. She's still wearing the same outfit she had on when she was kidnapped after her striptease for Harry in the hotel. But if you look closely, something changes. Suddenly, her underwear is less revealing than before. It's as if a quick wardrobe change happened right in the middle of the chaos. It's not the kind of thing you expect during such a dangerous, high-stakes scene. Yet somehow, this little slip made it into the final cut. For viewers who notice, It's a small but funny detail in a movie that is otherwise all action and tension. And speaking of the striptease scene, that moment became one of the most talked about in Jaime Lee Curtis's entire career. It even followed her long after the movie's release, stirring up mixed opinions and strong memories for those who saw it. A dance that took nerve and dedication. Jaime Lee Curtis won a Golden Globe for her role as Helen Tasker, but the striptease scene stayed with her in ways she didn't expect. Some viewers criticized it, calling it misogynistic, but director James Cameron later shared that Curtis had a big hand in how the scene was done. His original idea was to have Helen strip in the dark, with only her silhouette visible. Curtis thought that wasn't right. She suggested doing the scene in full light, but keeping her underwear on. She even showed Cameron exactly how she would do it. He later joked that her demonstration reminded him of why he loved his job. Interestingly, while many men spoke against the scene, most female reviewers saw it differently. They found it empowering for Helen, even liberating, because it showed her taking control in a situation she didn't understand. Curtis herself has called True Lies, without question, the greatest experience of my professional life so far. But that didn't mean it was easy. She was honest about how much preparation it took. Please, to say I wasn't neurotic as any woman would be who was going to do that dance. To say I didn't diet. To say I didn't go to the gym. I did a lot of leg lifts, squats, anything to firm up my body because I was about to be photographed for the rest of time in my G-string and bra. The scene may have been funny and sexy on screen, but behind the camera, it was the result of determination, hard work, and a lot of nerve. And the way Arnold Schwarzenegger responded after seeing her performance showed just how much respect he had for her. Arnold's unexpected gesture of respect. Arnold Schwarzenegger could have easily kept the top billing for himself, without question. That's how Hollywood usually works, especially when you're the biggest action star in the world. But after watching the final cut of True Lies, director James Cameron realized something. The movie wasn't just about explosions and spies, it was also a story about a marriage. Helen wasn't a side character, she was half of the heart of the film. Cameron called Schwarzenegger and asked if he'd agree to have Jaime Lee Curtis's name appear before the title, right next to his own. Without hesitation, Arnold said yes. For Curtis, this was huge. In her own words, in the cutthroat world of show business, credit is everything, and for Arnold to make that change was a real mensch move on his part. It wasn't just about words, it was about respect. It showed the kind of bond and trust the two stars had built while making the film. Cameron himself said, "They're both good with comedy. They're both very physical. They seem to somehow balance each other out very well." That balance wasn't just on screen. It was in the way they worked together. And Curtis wasn't only acting out the role written for her. From the beginning, she played a key part in shaping Helen into the character audiences love, shaping the character and risking it all. Curtis got involved with the script early on and made two big suggestions that changed Helen's role completely. First, she wanted Helen to have no idea about Harry's secret life as a spy. In the original script, Helen already knew. Curtis felt it would be funnier and more surprising if Helen was kept in the dark until much later. Second, she wanted more moments of real emotion, scenes where Helen and Harry argued over his lies, then slowly reconnected. She thought this would make their relationship feel real and relatable. James Cameron agreed and reworked the script to fit her ideas. Curtis also pushed herself physically for the role. She insisted on doing her own stunts, even the most dangerous ones. One of these was the unforgettable helicopter scene, where she's hanging from a skid 250 feet in the air, moving at 60 miles per hour. At first, Cameron didn't want her to do it, but Curtis insisted, saying, "I was willing to do all of it. I'm willing to do almost anything. I have no fear of heights." On filming day, she was up there with no safety nets, while Cameron filmed her with a handheld camera from outside the helicopter. They both risked their lives to get the perfect shot. And while Curtis was showing her bravery, another cast member was about to land his role in a very unexpected way. Tom Arnold never thought he would actually get a part in True Lies. He only went to the audition to meet James Cameron. But once he started reading scenes with Schwarzenegger, Cameron noticed their natural back and forth. Then Arnold cracked a joke. "Schwarzenegger's not that big. I think I can take him." That one line was enough to make Cameron laugh, and just like that, Arnold got the job. The chemistry they had off-screen made it easy to bring their friendship to life on screen, adding even more charm to a film already packed with unforgettable moments. How Jaime Lee Curtis landed the role. When James Cameron started casting Helen Tasker in True Lies, he already knew who he wanted, Jaime Lee Curtis. He had worked with her before on Blue Steel in 1990, which was directed by his ex-wife Kathryn Bigelow. Cameron had always admired her acting skills and was excited to work with her again. But there was one problem. Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't sold on the idea. He didn't think Curtis was the right fit for the role. Not wanting to upset his friend, Arnold had his agent deliver the message to Cameron instead of saying it directly. Cameron respected Arnold's opinion and decided to audition other actresses. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that Curtis was perfect for the part. Then he rewatched her unforgettable performance in A Fish Called Wanda. That sealed the deal for him. Cameron went to Arnold and asked, "Do you trust me?" Arnold said yes, and Cameron replied, "It's going to be Jaime." Arnold reluctantly agreed. Looking back, some say the age gap played a role in his hesitation. Arnold was 11 years older than Curtis, but Jaime had another theory. "I think he knew me as Tony's little girl. I think it might have been a little weird for him having to make out with Tony's daughter," she once explained, referring to her famous father, actor Tony Curtis. That small hesitation would soon be forgotten, as the film went on to become a huge success and a career highlight for both stars. The blockbuster and the debate. When True Lies hit theaters, it exploded at the box office. It made over $378 million worldwide, becoming the third highest-grossing movie of 1994, behind only The Lion King and Forrest Gump. It was more than just another action flick. Jaime Lee Curtis stepped outside her usual roles, and Arnold Schwarzenegger delivered some of his most iconic lines. While filming in 1993, Cameron also met John Landau, who was then a studio executive overseeing the production. Landau would later become Cameron's producing partner on Titanic and Avatar. Cameron has said Landau made True Lies even better with key rewrites during production. Over the years, the movie sparked debates. Some people saw the striptease scene as empowering, showing Helen take control in a tense moment. Others thought it was an old, tired way of showing women in film, more about being looked at than being respected. And then there was the action. Some viewers felt it was over the top, while others loved every second of it. Whether you saw it as thrilling or too far-fetched, one thing is certain. True Lies became one of the most talked-about action comedies of the 90s, and Arnold's portrayal of a loving but secretive spy still leaves people wondering where the line is between hero and cliché. What's your favorite scene from True Lies? The action, the comedy, or the romance? Do you think Jaime Lee Curtis's striptease scene was empowering or just for laughs? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible stories from Hollywood's fascinating history. See you next time.